I grew up in a military environment. My dad retired when I got into the military, so from birth up until my mid 20s, I was in a military environment, and that's secure. And a lot of people look at that as security. Well, getting out, you're looking at something that you might not have that security. Things are up in limbo. And that's what a lot of military officers feel. When I went to that first information session with Steve and left there, that was totally, the fear was gone. He let me know that companies are looking for leaders, and leaders that perform are very secure.
CameronBrooks' process is unique because the first and foremost thing is it embraces the idea of a transition. That process to help us as military officers do that mental leap to make the firm decision that A, the transition out of the military is the appropriate thing, and then B, once that decision is made, the in-depth process to develop us into marketable people to corporate America is unparalleled, absolutely unparalleled.
One of the things that was very clear to me was that if I wanted the very best job that was out there, CameronBrooks represented the very best in Fortune 500 companies. When you couple that with the fact that the preparation was second to none, and that to this day I can still hear Roger talking in my ear when I'm in certain situations, it truly was no contest which company I went with.
I've never had a company come to us and say, Roger, go find an average person and try to make them outstanding. We don't know how, we have no interest. And so you say, why come? Well, because we know how to get you over the high interviewing bars. We know the companies that hire junior military officers and value the experience you have. We know how to bring all of your offers in at one time. And we are experts at mentoring your career once you get to corporate America.
Is CameronBrooks for everyone? CameronBrooks is not for every military officer. If you find yourself to be a top performer in the military, one that readily accepts challenges in the form of deployments, difficult missions, Ranger School, the Officer Basic Course, any myriad of operational challenges that you faced, if you thrive in that sort of situation and you believe that you're ready for one more challenge before you transition out of the military, then CameronBrooks is the right place for you. There are several other recruiting firms that will help a lot of other military officers that don't want any more of those challenges. But if you come to CameronBrooks, you're going to find that they're committed to your success, and they're going to give you one more challenge before you transition out of the military and into corporate America.
We're selective because our companies are selective. We're working with Fortune 500 companies and other leading companies in corporate America who are looking for leaders that will come on and take a responsibility of a major portion of their business. The day that they hire one of our candidates, that candidate is given responsibility immediately. They're not on the bench, they're not on a training program, they're given responsibility for profit and loss, they're given responsibility for taking care of customers, for coaching teams. Because our companies are so selective, we are selective. For many of our candidates, they're looking for a very broad career search, one that goes well beyond any one geographic location, and they want to look nationwide for the best opportunities. We have the ability to help those candidates conduct a broad career search. On their own, it would probably take them 6 to 8 months in order to conduct that search. Once a candidate comes to one of our career conferences, they will receive all of their interviews within 16 working days. We've had 42 years to work out that process.
The development and preparation program was particularly helpful for me. My experience in the military wasn't business oriented at all. I was an infantry officer. I spent time chasing bad guys and kicking down doors and shooting things and blowing up stuff. That's what I did. So for me, transitioning to the corporate world was a bit daunting. What I found in the DPP was I was getting a mini MBA, and you'll hear folks quote that pretty often at CameronBrooks, but it really provided me with a a understanding of what business is all about. It was also a measure in which I had to realize that there was a commitment greater than maybe what I had originally anticipated. This wasn't going to be an easy chore. This was serious, and the only reason that CameronBrooks would ask me to do this is because they saw the benefit of it in prior candidates. For me, it was very valuable. It gave me a understanding of business that I was able to use day one on the job, and not having had an MBA or having had an opportunity to do that while I was in the military, it was a very valuable experience.
The CameronBrooks candidate is by far the most prepared of any candidates from any recruiting firm that I ever speak with. And when I say prepared, I don't just mean prepared to answer interview questions. I mean in their preparedness to move into corporate America. I don't have to worry about a CameronBrooks candidate and how they will act in front of a customer. I know that they have already been prepared in a way that will allow them to be successful in a very short order.
Over the course of about 9 months, I got to meet with Steve and Roger one-on-one, maybe 3 times. But each time I knew that I had to bring my A game. I had to be completely prepared. I had to be dressed appropriately. I had to act professional. I had to sit up straight. I had to have read the required readings. I had to have practiced answers for questions, because if I hadn't, they were going to raise those expectations. They did not hesitate to hold me accountable for preparation. They take this transition process just as seriously as any commander I had took an operational mission. It was that important to them. And that showed through every single time I met with them.
I transitioned out of the Navy 33 years ago, and I remember working very closely with Roger Cameron. Roger was a very unique individual. He was very passionate about what he did and does. And what he did for me was he took me apart because I didn't know anything about the business world, and he put me back together better.
I can't tell you how many times that candidates come to us and say that they're still using the things that we taught them as they went through the program 10 years, 15 years, 20, and 25 years later. A great compliment.
My first reaction when I got to the conference was wow. As you check in and you go through the check-in process, CameronBrooks greets you with a packet of information of the client companies that you're about to interview with in the next 24 to 48 hours. And as I opened that material and began reading the literature and the information that was provided to those companies, you know, I sat in the room, quite frankly, and I told my wife, because she was with me, a very important part of the transition is her involvement, you know, with me throughout. Because she was there making decisions and listening, and her information and her knowledge was growing as mine was growing, so we could make an informed family decision. And I said to her, I said, you know, what an opportunity. Here we sit with an opportunity over the next 2 days to interview with some of the top companies in America. And it's an honor. It, quite frankly, is an absolute honor to be able to serve your country, and those skill sets that have been developed during the service be appreciated by the corporate sector and be able to be transitioned effectively.
We try to get every candidate, and pretty successful at this, to come to the conference and basically tell us 2 things. CameronBrooks, I require you to show me everything that my credentials earn me the ability to look at. I don't want you to pick and choose. If I have earned the right to interview with the company, I want to interview with the company. And then on Tuesday night, when the conference is over, I will tell you, CameronBrooks, which positions and which companies I have an interest in pursuing. It's the only right way to come to the conference. The conference is kind of like a candy shop. It allows you to go nose to nose with the company, and you get CameronBrooks out of the way, and you get mom and dad out of the way, and everyone else out of the way. And that's the way it should be.
Companies come to us not to hire the average Joe and Sally off the street. They come to us to hire their future leaders. Every one of our companies have a great ability to attract a large number of people themselves, because most of our companies are well-known companies. either by name or in their industries. They really are leaders in their industry. Every company we work with is like the number 1, 2, or 3 in their business.
The advantage was, I could never do that on my own. I could never meet hiring managers face to face or potential bosses face to face in that sort of environment over the course of 2 days. There's no way to do that, and CameronBrooks has figured out how to do that and match up people's skill sets and junior military officers with perfect companies that they can move into and transition successfully to.
It's not hard for me at all to say, well, if you really want to maximize your options, then you need to contact CameronBrooks with the understanding that they aren't going to take you just because you're looking for a job. You're going to have to meet their standards. And just to be selected by them is an honor in itself and an accomplishment in itself.
I felt very comfortable that CameronBrooks was going to offer me the kind of recruiting experience that would allow me to find a career, not just a job.
CameronBrooks has helped me out throughout my career by maintaining an incredible network. I feel comfortable any day that I could pick up a phone and call Roger and talk to him about ideas that are pressing in my mind in corporate America. I feel I could pick up the phone and call Chuck or Steve or any of the other CameronBrooks team and talk to them about my concerns or my issues, and their guidance is ever right and is always on target, and it gives me that crystal picture just as they gave me that crystal picture during the transition. That relationship has extended far beyond a career conference and far beyond a recruiting effort, and it's that relationship that is perfect about CameronBrooks.
The CameronBrooks team just doesn't stop their involvement when they place you into your company. The involvement continues years and years after that, on down the road. Roger, I know for me, it's been a great comfort to know I have the CameronBrooks team to fall back on.
Because we use a team approach, when a candidate calls into our office, then there's always going to be somebody there available. If I'm out on the road recruiting, then we'll have other recruiters that are available to answer their questions, to give them coaching. If somebody has a specific question for me that may be a follow-on to a conversation we've had previously, I'm always available, and someone at the office will be able to get hold of me. It's the same, and the same is true for each recruiter that's on our team. We develop personal relationships. We work very closely with our candidates.
Leadership to me means giving people the courage to do things they never thought possible. CameronBrooks gave me the courage to do things I never thought possible, and I wish for every military officer the opportunity to do the same.